Hello Rachel, you're here today to answer the question, are vendors still interested in BPO?
And indeed they are. If we look over the last 18 months, many service providers have increased their focus and their investment on BPO. And actually I do sometimes wonder, with all the hype about cloud in the market, is BPO being overlooked? Because it is indeed a growth market. If we look at new contract signings and renewals in BPO last year, in terms of total contract value, 2012 was lower than 2011, to be honest, but if you go back for the last decade as a whole, it was about average. And at the end of the year, Q4, it was definitely a resurgence, and we expect that to continue in 2013. So I'm going to talk about a number of vendors where we have seen investment, and then a few others where I'm expecting to see some investment coming through. So let's start with Capgemini, where really it was 2011 was that big year of BPO investment. They made a number of acquisitions. There was VWA, which brought in collections capability, and also a unit of Nokia Siemens Networks, on the back of which it's built an extensive supply chain BPO offering. And if we go back to 2011, that was also the year when Capgemini made its statement of a target to grow BPO to a €1 billion business by 2015. Last year we saw some new offerings, some quite specialist offerings like governance, risk and compliance. And so there, yeah, big investment in BPO from Capgemini. Another vendor, TCS, continues its growth trajectory, and in fact BPO became a $1 billion for business for TCS last year. It's got a very broad BPO portfolio. It's 10% of its revenue now, and the growth is in a number of areas, so perhaps not quite by the platform level based BPO that TCS was perhaps expecting. Another vendor that's got ambitions to grow its BPO business to $1 billion revenues is Infosys, again through a combination of organic and inorganic growth. Likely acquisition targets in 2013, in my opinion, would include the healthcare insurance sector in the States, and a further expansion of its sourcing and procurement capabilities as it did a year ago in Australia with the Portman Group. Likely geographies for investment this year, I think, are the US and continental Europe. HP Enterprise Services. BPO is now publicly being stated by senior management of HP Group as a key component of the HP Enterprise Services portfolio. And some very welcome investments are being made at last in areas such as workflow and resource management tools. The global focus at HP Enterprise Services in BPO is on areas like F&A and CRM. It's going to be a key year for HP this year in BPO. It's got some very major deals to defend and also some very big opportunities to contest. Serco. Particularly over here in Europe, we saw a major reorganisation last year with the creation of a global BPO unit and a series of acquisitions, starting with Intelinet, which have been focused on the front office and call centre activities. Now, there are strong ambitions there to further expand the portfolio, and I expect to see further developments this year, including offerings that may leverage IP from Intelinet. Balfour Beatty is an example of an organisation, particularly in the UK, that's moving out of blue-collar BPO to white-collar BPO in the government sector, and it's already being selected for some very large opportunity government framework agreements. So those are some of the vendors where we have seen investments. Look forward now to the rest of 2013, where will we see big changes? Now, I am expecting to see ongoing improvement in the BPO performance at HCL Technologies and also at Wipro. Both are showing signs of progress on executing a turnaround of their BPO businesses. Other vendors who might show us some interesting developments in terms of their portfolio and capabilities in 2013 include Cognizant. We might see some major transactions this year, including in F&A. And secondly, CGI Logica. In Europe in particular, where we might see CGI take some BPO offerings such as HR shared services further into the UK public sector via the GPS framework, and also using some existing client relationships with the likes of Shell, where they're doing fuel card processing, to drive some new commercial sector opportunities, perhaps expanding its customer services hub into the financial services sector, and this would be new ground for CGI. Thirdly, EXL Services. There's new leadership in Europe at the Excel services and some other things happening afoot. I'm expecting to see a revitalisation of the BPO business from this year. And finally, there's a dark horse here, Dell Services. There's new leadership at the top and there's new leadership in the BPO business. And I do wonder, will we see any investment in the BPO business in 2013? So to sum up, these vendors are all investing in BPO. We are seeing a resurgence in contract signings in BPO. So the answer again is yes, BPO continues to be a growth opportunity for vendors.
Thank you, Rachel.